Hello, and welcome to the Mommy Escape Time podcast. I am Lauren, your host, and I have a 1-year-old son. I started this podcast for any mother who might feel alone in their journey through motherhood. Becoming a mom is hard no matter how you get there, and this podcast is about the mom stuff that comes up in our lives. Listen, enjoy, and connect with us on the Mommy Escape Time podcast. Hello, and welcome to the Mommy Escape Time podcast. I am Lauren, your host, and it is just me, but I think in a few weeks we will have some episodes with other people, not just me on here, so I am hopeful that will happen. And today's episode is kind of for people who are planners. I am a huge planner. I plan in advance. I just have that mentality of planning and planning ahead and seeing into the future. So you can imagine how hard this is when you have just lived through a shutdown and a lockdown and you're trying to plan like, okay, so we couldn't do all this stuff when we were in lockdown. So when is that time frame going to open up? And I think that anxiety of not knowing when things can quote unquote go back to normal is very, very hard for people. It is very hard for me because I like to plan. And as a teacher, that's pretty much what you're taught to do, is to plan and refocus and rework and plan again. And this shutdown and lockdown has been very hard on me because there were so many plans that so many of us just had to say goodbye to. And I had so many big plans that I thought I was going to get to do, and I'm not going to get to do them anymore. So planning for the rest of 2020 and planning for 2021 is very hard. That's all I can say. At this point, when I'm recording this, it's almost August, and we don't even know what it looks like for us to go back to school. I can tell you that my back to school outfits that I have purchased are scrubs, and that is it. I'm very nervous about what outfits I'm going to be able to wear when I go back to school because of all the cleaning and the constant cleaning, the constant of washing my hands and everything like that. When you're in your house, you don't have to do all of that as much. You're not constantly wiping things down and keeping 6 feet away from people that you live with. So that has been a big change. And I don't even know how to plan for school. Normally, at the end of a school year, I have my first 3 weeks of lessons all ready to go, printed out, copied, and I know exactly what I'm going to do for the first 3 weeks of school because it's typically a review time anyways. And this year, it's definitely going to be review, but I'm going way further back than I ever have before in doing my review. So I am trying to figure out what exactly I'm going to be teaching when I go back, how I'm going to be teaching it, and it's very hard to plan. That's all I can say. And especially now, like we're all like holding on to this information that, when we get a vaccine, things can go back to normal. And I'm so nervous that that's not really what's going to happen. Because once we have a vaccine, I don't know how quickly things will turn over. I am very hopeful. I would love to see a vaccine and see things go back to normal within a year and say like in March, okay, we're back to normal. And I don't want to say normal, but more normal than we are now, and that everyone could be okay. But of course, we all know things take longer than that. So what I can say is what I have done about planning for this amount of time right now. I don't plan very far in advance. What I have done is I have talked to my family members to see who is comfortable with visits and not visiting. And those are the people that we have gone to visit, or they have come here to visit us. And that is what we have done. And At the beginning of the summer, I was really hopeful that by this time I would be able to go see more of my family. But of course, as many of you know, different parts of the country are experiencing different waves of numbers. So the safety of traveling at this time is still harder. I thought my mom had driven up from Florida and she's still here. And when she drove, um, you really couldn't stop to get food. You really couldn't like use a rest stop or things like that. So it was very challenging. I can't imagine doing that with a 2-year-old. So we just chose not to travel anywhere really this summer, which is fine. There's no issue with if you do travel or you don't travel or things like that. We've had a lot of people come to our house, so we also feel like we need to um, kind of quarantine and just be more careful going out and things like that. So we're just a little more mindful of that. So we aren't going to see as many people. I can say that we never really went out to dinner before or out for food before. I will say when my mom used to come, we used to go out to eat way more than I am doing right now. And so that's a little hard. But we have been doing a little takeout and things like that. Um, I'm definitely not really into. I think it's great that it's summer so we can eat outside. I'm trying to say that in a nice way. Um, it's still hot, but it's still nice to have the option that if you did want to go out, you can do whatever you want. You can go out if you want, or you can stay home if you want. And I think getting food sometimes, just not having to cook your own food, is so unbelievably nice. So I'm enjoying the fact that I do not have to cook every meal also. So that's been really nice. Just taking advantage of that takeout has been really nice. And it doesn't really change how we normally would behave at this time of year because we don't normally go out to eat anyways. I might have taken my son out to eat for breakfast a few more times at this point, but that's about it. So other than that, and I kind of figure at this point like I can make pancakes at home, so it doesn't really matter. But everyone does what they're comfortable with doing, and it's so different in different parts of the country. I mean, we're in Connecticut where wearing masks in public have been a thing since I think April. And it was very scary to me when we first had to wear masks. So I think sometimes when new states say that they're starting people to wear masks, people are just scared that they have to wear masks all the time. And, I've been doing it for 3 months. So to me, it's just a part of life. But for some people, it's not a part of their life and it hasn't been this whole time and they haven't had to wear it. So now that they have to wear it, it's kind of scary for them. Um, I Everyone has to do what's comfortable for them, and what you're going to do planning wise is also very hard because you don't know this week or next week what's going to happen. Are people going to travel to your area? Are people going to travel to your state? Are your numbers going to go up? Are they going to go down? Are the hospitals going to be filled? There's so many different things. So going week by week is pretty much what I do now. It's very hard because we have not been on a vacation since before we had our child, and I thought that this summer we were going to be going on our first vacation, and we are not. So it's very hard. So I do have some I do have plans for 2021 to take 3 separate trips. One of them I'm taking, it's just me, that I am taking this like mini vacation. Um, and it's so up in the air. It's 100% refundable. Anything that I'm doing right now, I'm making sure that it is refundable. I do have a lot of JetBlue points or credits. I don't know how to describe it, but yeah, I have a lot of JetBlue credits that I need to use by the end of next year. So that I'm just working on trying to figure out how to use up those credits because I don't want to lose them. And I do, in my mind, I have this wonderful idea about how I'm going to do all these trips in 2021. But a lot of it, again, depends on where we are. So I'm optimistic that I might be able to do this travel, but I'm also not rushing to make these travel plans anytime soon. I do assume, no matter vaccine or not, that airplane travel is pretty much going to be the same, that you will still have to wear a mask. Um, they might offer you more things than just water on a plane, um, but I'm pretty sure that masks will still be a thing in March. So I'm still trying to wrap my head around that, if that is a deal breaker for me or not. I think I you know I think about every time I've gotten on a plane, every single time I have gotten sick, every single time I get on a plane. It's normally not on the way there, it's on the way back. And normally it's because when I'm flying, I'm going from somewhere cold to somewhere warm, or I'm going somewhere warm to somewhere cold, which I know to some people is ridiculous. um, but being from Connecticut and a lot of my family is in Florida, we travel back and forth a lot. And I used to go to Florida way more than I have since I've had my child. Um, and part of the reason is that we haven't been traveling is I do not want my child on a plane because I'm so afraid of all the germs to begin with and the recycled air. So, and this was way before COVID. And I actually think that wearing a mask on a plane might prevent me from getting as sick. Um, but I definitely have more ideas now about traveling and what I'm going to do on a flight going forward, because I I definitely don't want to have to get sick or be afraid to go on a plane. So that's pretty much it. I am very mindful of the fact that, you know, I don't know what it's going to look like in March, and to make this decision in July, it's very different, or February, I should say. But sometime in the early part of 2021 is when I'm planning on doing a little something just myself. So I'm looking forward to that. And if it doesn't happen, it's totally okay with me. Like I'm absolutely fine with it at this point. So it's okay. I think also when I've done trips before, that I've like stockpiled gift cards to places that we might go and things like that, like prepaid. Like Disney is a good example. If I think we're going to Disney, like I will get Disney gift cards and I will save them up. And if you don't know, at Target, if you have a Target Red card, you can get 5% off Disney gift cards. So I would always try and like save those up so that, I'm saving 5% on my vacation. But now I'm a little more mindful of getting those gift cards and things like that, because you don't know what you're going to need your money for. And if this trip is canceled, if I don't do any of my trips in 2021, everything is refundable. So, I mean, that's my big takeaway, is that, you want refundable, refundable, refundable. And the big thing is with trip insurance, you want cancel for any reason trip insurance. Um, so, if you do trip insurance, that's what you should do. So I'm very careful about that. I have found that since we have been home, there are just, I don't know if there's just more things popping up in our house that are, I don't want to say breaking, but need service maybe more, that I'm concerned that that might happen again, and that might also be a reason that I don't take a trip, is because I might have to invest in something else in the house, because we're just here so much more that we're just using the house. And I don't want to say the house is not getting a rest, but it's not getting a rest. Like the air conditioning or the heat has always been on. We only got 2 weeks where that system was not on for this year. We, use the toilets, the showers more. Um, I didn't shower as much before COVID, and now I feel like at certain times I shower way more, and we're washing our hands more often, and we're using the refrigerator more often and things like that. So all those things, our garage doors, we're using those. Um, we're not using those more often. And then when we start to use them again, they're struggling to be used again. So we're, there's different things in our house that we have to be mindful of, that, we have to maybe take care of those things that we weren't expecting to. So I'm really careful about how I use my money, so that if there is something that comes up, we easily can have access to money. It's not all stuck in gift cards about it. So that's one of the things. So I think besides, I think just being flexible is one of the things that you have to do. I am sometimes very flexible and sometimes unbelievably not flexible. And I think when I have a plan and it's set, I think I am not as flexible. When I don't have a plan, I'm much more flexible in what happens. And I'm going to give an example. I used to have every day planned out for my son. Like, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. And I had the whole week planned out. And now I, like, the night before, I'm like, okay, am I going to go see my mom tomorrow, or are we going to stay here? And like, those are the two big decisions. And then the biggest decision I have to make is grocery shopping. Like, what day am I going to go grocery shopping? Because before, it didn't matter. We would just go to the grocery store whenever I needed to go. But now we really try and limit our time in the grocery store. So I try and only go once a week, and I really plan it out. And if I need to go again, my husband and I try and figure it out so that I can go without my son, because he doesn't have to wear a mask. And I don't know how people feel about that. So it's more about other people's comfort as opposed to my own comfort. I don't really care bringing him into a store. He can go into a store, he's fine. But I don't know how people feel sometimes when the kids are younger and they don't have to wear a mask and they can go into a store. So it's more about having other people's comfort feel better. Um, if I do go, I'm either holding him or he's in a cart. So it's not like he can run out of my, um, it's not like he can run and go touch someone, but he like loves to run around in stores, so it's so hard sometimes to take him because all he wants to do is run around, and obviously he can't do that. So that used to be like my go-to thing when it was raining or too hot out. I would go to a store and take my son, and he would run around there, and it would be great. But that's not one of my options anymore, so I can't do that. So it's been very hard to figure out when to go grocery shopping, and I have to plan it very carefully, and I have to plan out all our meals and things like that. So that part I is a big planning part that I do. And I do try and stick to that, and really try and stick to what we're going to eat, how, so that I'm not going to the grocery store multiple times a day. I will say I've been very good about planning our meals and figuring out what we're going to eat. And, if we have this, then we can use the leftovers to make this. And I think quesadillas is like my favorite meal at this point, because it's like, oh, what do we have in the house? Throw it in, put some cheese on it. It'll taste great. So I really enjoy that a lot. Quesadillas are like my go-to meal half the time. So that's what we're having tonight, in case you were wondering. One of the other big things is that I've already started talking to my family and my extended family about the holidays. And even though it's July, I mean, who can foresee Thanksgiving and Christmas at this point? But kind of talking with family members and kind of seeing their comfort levels of what we're going to do for the holidays. Um, so, I mean, it could be anywhere from we could be alone. I think for Thanksgiving, there's a better chance that we could be alone. And by alone, I mean just our family. And that I do think that for Christmas, that my family will most likely still be together. A lot of my extended family works together, so they already see each other all the time. So I don't think they're concerned. And I think that for just in general for Christmas, that I am hoping that in 4 months, 5 months, that, we will better be able to be with our own families in our houses. Um, it's harder for my family and my husband's family because we all live my husband's family lives a little closer to us that they can just drive and see us, but my family, everyone would have to most likely fly. So it kind of just depends on what it looks like then. And we have like a bunch of ideas and things that we have thought about that, and I have a bunch of ideas that of what we could do. And again, if you I'm usually the host for Christmas Eve. So, I mean, I am perfectly able to have people in my house, and I have no issue with that. That is my family. And so I'm I'm all set and ready to go. I have a lot of different ideas of how we can um, do that. So it's just the comfort of your family. And I think, everyone has to do what they have to do. And I think for me, it's a little it's a little harder, like I we've been living through a lot of this, and in Connecticut, our numbers at this point in July are down quite significantly compared to other places. And I remember that we are a very small state, so we are able to maybe do things that larger states can't do. Like a lot of it is Texas and California and Florida are having a lot of the issues. And I think a lot of that has to do with the vast states, and there are more people that live in that states. And so those numbers sometimes look more alarming compared to when you looked at New York's numbers, because that's a smaller state with a less population in certain parts of the state. And it's hard when you say like Texas numbers are up. Texas is gigantic. So it kind of depends. Is it pockets of Texas that are experiencing these numbers? Is it all the entire state? Um, so I think that's it too. That if where my family has been, they are not in areas where those spots have been largely contributing to. So it's just when you fly, you're exposed to so many more people. So planning the holidays is going to be more challenging this year. But it's still doable. I am still a take off your shoes when you walk into the house, so it won't change for the holidays. It's a big joke in our family that you never wear like really nice shoes. Half the time people like, of course, in the winter, they come in boots and things like that, because the first thing you do when you come into any one of my family's houses is you take off your shoes. So why would you wear fancy shoes to begin with? You better buy fancy slippers, because that's all people are going to see anyways. So that's the big joke in our family. But anyways, that pretty much sums it up. All I can say is you got to do what you are comfortable with. And if certain family members or people want you to follow certain things, you just got to do it, because it's for everyone's comfort level. And planning, you plan what you can. I mean, there's no guarantees. I mean, there's no guarantees in anything. So, um, you just plan. I mean, my thought process is more that I'm focusing on 2021 and thinking, later in the year I can travel some more, and that will be more exciting. And everything that I maybe missed out on these past through 2.5 years that I didn't travel, I'm going to soak them all up in 2021. And we're really going to try and go for it in 2021. And we'll go from there. And if it doesn't work out, I have plans for 2022. Um, I feel like for someone who has had to put off their plans over and over and over again, it does get sad, and it's hard to deal with all the time, that you're always having to replan. And I thought this year was going to be the year of like, yes, I can finally do some of these things, and I can't. And you know what? I don't know. Eventually I just got over it. It might take some time. You might need to mourn part of that, you know, the stuff that you were thinking you were going to get to do. And that's okay. That's also okay. So I think, whatever you need to do, you do. And you just try and plan, but you have to know that you have to be flexible with all those plans, especially in Connecticut, because I can't go anywhere and because I have to come back to a 14-day quarantine. So I pretty much can go to Connecticut and that's it. So um, hopefully eventually that will be lifted so I can actually like leave the state and go somewhere else. But I don't know how long that's going to last. So we will see. But, anyways, I encourage everyone else to stay safe and have a good week. And I will talk to you soon. Bye.